Breaking this hour, New York Times reporting donors have told the largest pro-Biden super PAC that roughly $90 million in pledges are now frozen if Biden remains at the top of the ticket. But this may only be the beginning. Reports claim a coordinated Democratic rebellion is set to unfold during a brutal 48-hour stretch for Biden. An 18th Democrat lawmaker just called for Biden's exit 90 minutes ago. Now we're learning that President Biden privately met with White House Minority Leader Jeffries after his solo press conference last night, where he made several embarrassing mistakes on the world stage.
We have your support to be the head of the Democratic ticket.
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short. I think overwhelming support of the caucus. It's not for me to say. I'm not the head of the caucus anymore, but he's beloved. He is respected, and people want him to make that decision. Not me.
He has said he has made the decision. He has said firmly this week he is going to run. Do you want him to run?
I want him to do whatever he decides to do. And that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with.
Not perfect information about the future. And the argument that President Biden is best positioned to beat Donald Trump is an argument. There are other arguments that are also data-based that other people might have a better shot at it. I think that what Nicole points out about the reality about polling numbers for incumbent presidents and the real history of that versus what President Biden said, which was not actually factually accurate as far as I can tell. That's worrying because it makes me worry that the president is being given information about his political standing that may not be based in reality, that may be sunnier than is real. But I also think the president spoke from a factually grounded place throughout his entire remarks. And again, importantly, at the end, what did he say when he got that very sharp question? That's the very closing question from the entire presser when he was asked what he would need to hear to make him decide that the right thing to do for the country would be to leave. He did say in his answer to that, there are other Democrats who can beat Trump too.
All righty, here we go. So Joe Biden gave a press conference yesterday at the end of the 2024 NATO summit in Washington after it kept getting delayed. He spent almost an hour responding to a list of pre-approved reporters' questions where his gaffes yet again overshadowed his policy positions. I gotta give it to old Joe though. The presser ran awfully close to his bedtime and I'm sure he was tired. But I think the most amazing part about last night was the fact that we were told it would be an unscripted presser. And the first thing Crooked Joe did was pull out a script of pre-screened names to call on. And the rest of the press corps just sat there and let it happen. You can't make this stuff up, man. But anyway, the bar literally could not be lower, nor the stakes higher for Joe. And while I think he just barely cleared the bar, it wasn't exceptionally bad. I mean, he was able to stand and somewhat answer the questions to the best of his ability. The stumbles and the gaffes were what should have been the end of his presidency, but for Democrats and the cult, I think he did just well enough to live to fight another day. So Joe Biden, our supposed president, before the press conference began, introduced Ukrainian President Zelensky as Putin. Talk about getting off to a great start.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin, President Putin, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. President, dear our friends of Ukraine. Last year at the NATO summit in Vilnius, we took a very strong step with a G7 declaration on security for Ukraine, for Ukrainian people. And we did not waste time, and now we have a solid architecture of security guarantees. I thank President Biden for his leadership.
Ridiculous. This guy's in charge of the nuclear codes. But wait, there's more.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one.
Goodness gracious. Interesting strategy for Biden to name Trump as his running mate. Gutsy move. So when he steps aside, Vice President Trump will be sworn in. I see. Thank you, Mr. President. And what say you to the public's concern about your mental acuity?
You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that. Mr. President, okay. Thank you.
This ends tonight's press conference. Thanks, everybody. This concludes.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, man, it's a sad sight to see, man. Sad sight to see. You heard it right there, folks. Listen. Oh, my goodness. Listen to Vice President Donald Trump. Trust me, we definitely do. So at this big boy conference that was designed to show the world he's still mentally there, Biden didn't just call Zelensky Putin. He also called his own vice president Trump. He literally can't get through any event now without a single gaffe. The decline is on display daily, and he still has 6 months until the inauguration. I'm not sure he can last 6 more days, let alone 6 months. Not to mention the usual soft, whispery voice, the now and then return to the distant stare, the difficulty finishing sentences, and the awkward reference to the First Lady Jill getting angry with him. I don't think it really mattered what Biden said during the rest of the press conference because he basically ruined it before the presser even started by calling Zelensky Putin. And then whatever essence he did say during it, it was completely overshadowed by the gaffes. Not to mention, he ruined it again by calling Trump his VP. He is cooked, to say the least. He can assure us all that he's good, but I really don't think you can overlook these major slip-ups. And no one believes he's good. No one does. But let's check out what our friends at MSDNC to see what they're saying about Biden's big boy press conference.
He says, I've got to finish the job. And he said that emphatically. And I've been comparing him to a World Series starter in the 7th game of the World Series who's got 4 outs left to get in a close game and has thrown 120 pitches. And when the manager comes out to the mound, they never want to go. They're never like, yes, take me out, ever. They curse into their glove. They go like this to the manager. They fight it. That, to me, I have to finish the job, Rachel, was an honest articulation of where all this motivation is coming from, even if he's not correct about his own political prospects or in denial about the inexorable trajectory of being a human being who is mortal, like we all are.
Yeah.
That was, to me, clarifying.
And, you know,
Before she goes, what job is he saying he has to finish? Is it the complete destruction of our nation? Is it the dismantling of our Constitution? Is it a move to bring in a full-fledged new voter bloc? What job is it that he has to finish now?
you make a really important point, Chris, that I think we can't say frequently enough as Democrats and people who want Donald Trump to be prevented from returning to the White House sort of anguish over this decision, which is that there is not perfect information about the future. And the argument that President Biden is best positioned to beat Donald Trump is an argument. There are other arguments that are also data-based that other people might have a better shot at it. I think that what Nicole points out about the reality about polling numbers for incumbent presidents and the real history of that versus what President Biden said, which was not actually factually accurate as far as I can tell. That's worrying because it makes me worry that the president is being given information about his political standing that may not be based in reality, that may be sunnier than is real. But I also think the president spoke from a factually grounded place throughout his entire remarks. And again, importantly, at the end, what did he say when he got that very sharp question? That's the very closing question from the entire presser when he was asked what he would need to hear to make him decide that the right thing to do for the country would be to leave. He did say in his answer to that, there are other Democrats who can beat Trump too. He said, I believe I am best qualified to govern. I believe I am best positioned, best qualified to beat him. There are other Democrats who could beat him, too. And as you said, the reason I would get out is if the data told me, the data showed that I was not going to be able to beat him. Well, no data will ever show that definitively. But him acknowledging that it's not only him who could beat Trump is an important sort of message from the reality-based world.
Yes.
All righty. So not Rachel fact-checking Biden on poll numbers for incumbent presidents. But these people aren't in a reality-based world. The hoops they have to jump through. Leftist media propagandists are facing a real dilemma here. On one hand, they can't go all out against Biden because he doesn't seem like he's planning on stepping down anytime soon. They have to keep some level of support for him in case he remains the nominee. But on the other hand, Biden himself has hinted that other Democrats might have a better chance at beating Trump. So the media has to keep that door open for other candidates. They know deep down Biden's a weak candidate and they're not sure if he can make it. It's like they're playing both sides, trying to prop up Biden while also signaling they're ready to switch horses if need be. This whole balancing act just shows they really don't have much confidence in Biden's ability to win this election. It's inconceivable that anyone could support this obviously impaired individual with a straight face. Even Democrats are breaking with Biden, with more of them calling on him to withdraw from the race after the press conference. Meanwhile, MSDNC and leftist media propagandists are scrambling to save face. They're playing the field. I have zero sympathy for these reporters. They covered this mess up from the beginning. They're embarrassed, I'm for sure of it, but they're the ones who were pushing this propaganda for the ruling party anyway. This is extremely pathetic, and there needs to be a full investigation of what could be one of the most major cover-ups in U.S. presidential history. We should not be having a press corps working with the Democrats to hide the health of the United States president. It's dangerous. It's on display for NATO members. And imagine what China, Iran, and Russia are thinking right now. He didn't completely fall apart, but the bar is set so low that just standing up and speaking somewhat coherently seems like a win for him. However, it wasn't enough to stop the questioning of his ability to lead this nation. The world is watching, and so are we. This balancing act by the media and the Democrats only highlight the real issues, which is Joe Biden is not fit to lead, and everyone knows it, even if they won't say it out loud. But let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment down below. Consider joining the ARP family. It supports the team, me, and the channel. It gives us the ability to produce this type of content on a day-to-day basis. I appreciate each person that has joined the team thus far. Keep God first in your life, stay prayed up, and I'm gonna catch up with you all next time. Peace.